Hello everyone, this is Paul Grenier, host of Whiskey and Wood. Some of you may know me from iDRY Systems. Today, you may be wondering why I'm in the car. We are going to be taking a road trip to see Mill River Slabworks in Westfield, Massachusetts. They recently opened a retail location. Chris down there said business is awesome. They're close enough. I want to go hop in the truck and check it out. One thing he did mention was some customers have purchased slabs, Facebook Marketplace, maybe some other places, and the wood was in a pretty pitiful condition when it got there. They do some furniture making, so they wanted to know, hey, can you save this wood? You know, sometimes when it's warped that bad, by the time you plane it down flat, you're stuck with a really thin piece of material, some case hardening and other issues, some wood that's not dry yet. So yeah, I think we're gonna shoot a little video, educational purposes. They can use it to educate some of their customers about the importance of kiln drying. Anyways, let's hit the road.
Hey everyone, this is Chris from Mill River Slabworks. You have probably seen some of our literature, maybe our billboard, or heard some of our radio ads. Here we specialize in kiln-dried custom slab works, live edge wood slabs. You may have noticed that we emphasize the fact that our products are kiln-dried. So to help me a little bit explain, why this is so important. Today, we are fortunate enough to have Paul from iDRY Systems, also part of the Whiskey and Wood podcast, here with us today, and he is going to kind of help touch on, why the kiln dried, why this is so important in our industry.
Thank you, Chris. So I'm sure a lot of you have noticed, if you go on Facebook Marketplace, you've seen that slab lumber, which is thicker lumber, typically 3 inches to 2 inches, sometimes it's bigger than that, is popular for a good reason. It's beautiful, it's unique, has good grain character. It's really a one-of-a-kind type of wood for your home. So one thing that you will want to know when you're purchasing a piece of wood like that, or hopefully I can make you feel confident in the right questions to ask wherever you're buying it, is the wood dried? So the reason why drying wood is important is because wood, as it dries, shrinks. That means it moves. That's one reason. You don't want to build a piece of furniture, have it go into your home, and then after a winter, have the wood move, shrink, crack, and pop, and that beautiful, beautiful piece of furniture you fell in love with is now somewhat ruined. Another really important and sometimes undersold value of kiln drying wood is the sterilization. So there are certain boring style bugs that will lay their larvae on the surface of the tree, and those larvae, when they hatch, will go into the cambium layer of the wood. So that's the wood right underneath the bark. There's lots of sugars and nutrients for that bug. And what a lot of people don't know is they will actually be dormant in the wood for up to 12 to 36 months, depending on the species of the bug. So I have heard stories in my line of business of customers who have built furniture and then they've gotten a call from their customer saying, hey, I've got wood underneath the table in the form of sawdust. What's going on? And it's actually the adult bugs leaving the wood. That's not something that anybody wants, I'm fairly certain.
No.
So we're going to talk about questions to ask when you're buying this unique type of wood. It has its own challenges when drying, but the first question you should ask, of course, is the wood dried? So a rule of thumb, and some people might say air drying is fine. Keep in mind, air drying does not sterilize for bugs. The rule of thumb is 1 year per inch of thickness. So if you're looking at a 3-inch slab, that needs to have been cut 3 years ago. If it was cut 1 year ago, you have to wait 2 years before that wood is usable in an interior environment. So it's a long time.
Long time.
And most likely, depending on the species, the core moisture content, which we will talk about core moisture content, won't be down to a furniture grade level, which is anywhere from 6 to 9% depending on your region. So when you ask to see the moisture content, it's typically done with a moisture meter. There are 2 types of meters. There are surface meters, which slide along the surface, and there are pin style meters. So a pin style meter is important when you're buying thick wood because that will tell you what the interior moisture content of the wood is and not just the surface. You want to keep in mind that wood will dry quicker from the end grains and the surface, and you may get a false reading showing that the wood is dry. Now, the dangers of trapped moisture content are that when your wood starts to shrink, and all shrinkage in wood, a lot of people don't know this, but wood doesn't shrink until you're at 25% moisture content. Anything below 25% moisture content is where the wood gets smaller. Now, if you have wood that is shrinking against an interior moisture that is not, that's where your stressing and pulling and twisting happen during the drying process. Now, here at Mill River Slabworks, all of their wood is dried in a vacuum kiln. I won't get into the nuances of exactly how vacuum kilns help during this process, but they basically keep the surface and the core moisture content as close as possible through the drying process, which minimizes defects in the wood. So now that we've talked about core moisture, we're going to talk about case hardening. That is when the outside of the wood is dry and there's moisture trapped on the inside. There's a few things that happen. It's known as case hardening. And what can happen is if you bring that wood into your home and it continues to dry, the wood will shrink and compress on the area of the wood that isn't shrunk. That will cause things like honeycombing, cracks, undesirable features in your wood. Super important to know and get a core moisture reading when you're buying thicker wood. Another thing you're going to want to look for is how twisted and cupped is the wood that you're buying. You're most likely going to want to have a flat piece of wood when you're making a countertop or a bench or any other piece of furniture. And the more cupped it is, the more material you're going to have to take off of it. So if you look down the side or the center of it, that'll give you a good idea about how much material is going to be left when it's done. On average, you want to have about 1.5 inches for countertops and tabletops.
All right, thank you, Paul. Thank you for coming today and helping to explain why the kiln drying process is so important to what we do. Here at Mill River Slabs, of course, all of our products are properly and thoroughly kiln dried, ready for your next project.